Let me read to you a passage from the second chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 13 to 15 and then 19 to 23. It's the Gospel for the Feast of the Holy Family, the second Sunday of Christmastide. St. Matthew writes, "When the Magi had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, and said, 'Rise, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him.' Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, that what the Lord had said through the prophet might be fulfilled. 'Out of Egypt I called my son.' When Herod had died, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, and said, 'Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead.' He rose, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go back there. And because he had been warned in a dream, he departed for the region of Galilee. He went and dwelt in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled. He shall be called a Nazarene." That's from Matthew chapter 2, verses 13 to 15 and 19 to 23. And what does it suggest to us? Well, have you ever noticed one feature about bees and ants? It is that they seem to be unceasingly active. We speak of a person being as busy as a bee. Action, activity, movement seems to be at the heart of the universe. And indeed, the consideration of movement constitutes, in the philosophical thought of Aquinas, a way to God. There seems to be a basic drive operative within all the things of our experience to be in action, which is to say, to be on the march to perfection in one or other sense. The characteristic posture of things seems not to be one of rest, but of activity. And when we look at man, we see a similar pattern. The human person seems to be an acting person, that is, one who is at work. And if he is not in action, it looks as though he is in decline or will decline. His greatest pride lies in what he manages to do. And if he has the sense that he is achieving little or nothing, this constitutes a crisis for his sense of meaning. But now, we see in vast numbers of persons in the great stream of human history very little by way of striking or great deeds. If action, let us call it work, is what man seems to be constituted for, what is to be said of those countless numbers of persons who seem, at least in their own eyes, to get so little done? By this I mean that there are so very many whose activity is on a very small scale, and who never do what an observer might call very much. They yearn for significance, and they hope that their lives will be of value. And yet, their work in life turns out to be small scale, humdrum, rather hidden, and only a very small element in the gigantic action of the universe. Yes, life has its achievements and joys, but snapping at its heels is the recurring thought that it has been futile and disappointing. It is marked by a lot of failure and unrealized dreams. For the average person, there would seem to be not a lot for him to be proud of, and not much that he does that will ever bring the admiration of others. In a word, typically, the life of man is characteristically very ordinary. He lives an ordinary life. So one question facing everyone is, how can his or her ordinary life become something great and beautiful? On this question, as on every other great question, we have a light. That light is Christ, and He is the life of every man, woman, or family. Today we think of the Holy Family of Nazareth, Jesus, Mary his mother, and Joseph his foster father and husband of Mary. Jesus, Mary and Joseph are given 2 chapters in the Gospel of St. Matthew and 2 chapters in the Gospel of St. Luke, and each of these Gospel accounts is very different. But together they present us with the fact of the Holy Family of Nazareth, a family beyond compare in the annals of holiness, and from which came forth the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, to whom all authority in heaven and on earth was given. What could we say is the especially notable thing about their family life during those many years at Nazareth? It is that their lives were very ordinary indeed. It was small time, small scale, unnoticed. And I suppose if the historian were pressed to give his verdict on it, he would say that it contained nothing of significance in the main. He might even say it was a little meaningless in view of the important work to be done, namely the salvation of the world. So the Holy Family was very much part of the stream of mankind and moved shoulder to shoulder with the little people of history. But does this not tell us that there is in the divine plan a greatness to be discovered and achieved precisely in the ordinary things? God means the little person to be great in His sight precisely in his littleness and ordinariness. If God became man and spent so much time doing nothing other than what the ordinary person does, going to a small-time school, worshipping at home and with his community, doing his daily work, being part of his immediate and extended family life, then, in the main, greatness is to be sought there. The ordinary person will be great in the sight of God by doing the ordinary things in the way the Son of God made man did them, and indeed doing them in loving union with the Son of God made man. The Holy Family teaches every man and woman and every family the grandeur of the ordinary life, if lived in imitation of this same Holy Family. All this is to say that every family ought strive to acquire and live the spirit of the Holy Family of Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Every baptized person has been granted the gift of the Holy Spirit. This same Holy Spirit animated and guided the Holy Family. He is the Spirit of Jesus, and He filled the hearts of Mary and Joseph. He has been given to us at our baptism. Let us then be content in the ordinariness of our lives, but making all our actions and all our work something very holy in the way the Holy Family did. If we sanctify our activity and our work, we shall, in the process, sanctify ourselves, and we shall sanctify others for whom we do our work.